human trafficking is a very serious problem. Whether you discuss the number of victims, whether you're talking about the severe emotional and physical damage that it inflicts upon them, human traffickers and their illicit activities are an affront to people of good conscience. They're a scourge that need to be driven from this state and from this country, for that matter. The federal government estimates as many as 20,000 victims are trafficked into the United States every year. We have no reliable way of knowing the exact numbers, of course, and that probably tells us that the problem is even worse than what we think it is. And just how many of our citizens are caught up in this nightmare. Of the identified victims of human trafficking, some 20% may be here in Texas. And we've taken some very deliberate steps to fight this problem. Last year I was honored to sign a piece of legislation that was authored by, championed, and pushed through the legislature by Representative Thompson that created the Human Trafficking Task Force that reports to the Attorney General. That task force combines the best efforts of law enforcement, advocacy groups, state agencies to raise awareness and provide specialized law enforcement training. It also provided new protections to the victims, making it safer for them to stand up and face their assailants. Just recently I called upon the legislature to further toughen those laws against traffickers, subjecting the worst offenders, those who commit these crimes on an ongoing basis, to a new degree of punishment, a first-degree felony. We refer to it as the continuous human trafficking. This felony, in addition to penalties under existing laws, would subject each offender to an additional sentence ranging from 25 to 99 years in prison. Those who would commit these heinous crimes need to know that if you're caught in Texas, you're not going to see the light of day for a very, very long time. While legislators figure out the best way to make this happen, I'm putting resources into the challenge now. With grants from my Office's Criminal Justice Division, we're making $500,000 available to Texas cities and counties to help victims of human trafficking. These local governments can either use the grants to directly provide much needed services through their own offices, or to contact with established local nonprofit groups who are experienced in helping victims of human trafficking. In the same vein, my office is providing more than $291,000 to the Office of the Attorney General to expand his ability with a new Human Trafficking Prevention Task Force to identify, investigate, and prosecute these cases. The grant will enable the task force to add resources, including investigators who specialize in the kind of financial tricks that these traffickers use to stay hidden, as well as a prosecutor specially trained in putting these types of criminals away. These new resources will enhance the effectiveness of the task force and train members of other agencies in the art of locating and eliminating these criminal enterprises. As we know, the trafficking problem is only complicated by Washington's ongoing failure to secure the border with Mexico. Henry and I have talked about this on ongoing basis. Not only do the drug cartels and these transnational gangs oppress their trafficking victims, but they also employ them as pawns, and that's why, in the absence of adequate assistance from Washington, and we've made another plea today yesterday to both the Office of Homeland Security and reached out to their counterparts on the Mexican side for continued effort to secure our border with Mexico. But with the help of the legislature, and again, Madam Chairman, thank you for understanding the importance of securing our border. We put some $230 million in the last couple of legislative sessions, filling the gaps that's being left by federal inaction. When criminals responded by changing their tactics, for instance, on the border, we adapted again, creating our Ranger recon teams, which are putting more boots on the ground in these hot spots. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to have federal resources to help if we're going to secure that border, and frankly, coordinating with our friends in Mexico as well. So until Washington fully engages and Texas feels comfortable that our citizens are being protected, we're going to continue to press this issue, taking the fight to the criminal element that continually attempts to exploit our porous border, and they continue to commit some pretty terrible crimes against our citizens, as well as the citizens of Mexico. And again, Senfronia, I want to say in wrapping up, thank you. Thank you for being one of the most compassionate and, I might add, powerful voices in Texas, not on just this issue, but a host of issues that protect victims of unspeakable events that happen in their life. And I truly hope the legislature will answer my call for increased penalties for these traffickers, and our task force will have success in cracking down on these criminals who prey on some of our most vulnerable, and they brazenly sell their innocence as a commodity. And rest assured that we will not rest until this is eradicated from our midst. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for being here today.